Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today we are doing the our Dubois versus Joshua breakdown and prediction video. As Daniel Dubois, the newly upgraded IBF heavyweight champion of the world, is set to return and defend his title for the first time when he battles former two-time unified heavyweight champion of the world, Anthony Joshua, in an all-UK battle that's going to headline the September 21st Riyadh season United Kingdom Supercard. Excuse me. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So this fight is it's a good one. You know, a really great matchup. It's my fight of the month in terms of, you know, the fight I'm most anticipated, one of the most highly anticipated fights of the year for me. But I'll get back into that in a minute. So if you haven't seen my breakdown videos before, basically what we do is we discuss the fight, what it means, what's at stake, all that stuff, how it impacts boxing, all that. Then we get into each fighter, and in a fight, like in a title fight, we discuss the champion first and then move on to the challenger. I ask the same questions on both sides, and then at the end of the video I ask one final question, and then I give my prediction on the fight. So this fight, you know, what does it mean? And as I said, it's one of the most highly anticipated fights of the year for me because it's a 50-50 type fight. Now, Anthony Joshua might be coming in a slight favorite in this one, but there's a lot of people that are still questioning Joshua and how good is he still, you know? After the back-to-back losses to Usyk, and then even in 2019 when he got stopped against Ruiz, a lot of people feel he hasn't been as dominant since then. And Daniel Dubois has been on fire, you know, that the guy has really woken up and become a major player in the heavyweight division. So this is a big fight right here, especially since the winner is likely going to get a crack to become undisputed against the winner of Fury and Usyk. You know, a lot of things, you know, there's a lot of moving pieces, but those seem pretty clear for the winner. And for Anthony, and for, even though Usyk is the favorite over Fury in their rematch, and Usyk has already beaten both men, Joshua and Dubois, both guys would be, you know, deserving of a title shot with a victory. So a lot riding on this fight and for the winner. And then Fury is a United Kingdom fighter, so that would be a huge fight if he wins, because he still wants to become undisputed, and I think there really wouldn't be very much standing in his way to be able to confirm undisputed against the winner of this fight. So again, a lot of moving pieces, but a lot at stake for the winner of this fight going on. So let's jump into each fighter. We start with the champion, Daniel Dubois. He was just upgraded at the end of June, early July, when Alexander Usyk vacated the IBF belt instead of, you know, waiting around for the IBF's decision about what they were going to do. He already captured undisputed. It wasn't important for him to hold on to it enough to where the IBF was going to dictate what he could do next. He got tired of waiting for a decision from them after filing an exception. So he is now gonna fight Fury, and he gave up the IBF title. So Dubois, his last three fights date back to August of last year when he fought Alexander Usyk. So what a miraculous turn in a matter of 13 months. 13 months ago, he fought Usyk, got pretty much dominated and stopped in the 9th round. A lot of people thought he quit and had no heart. He had that moment in the 5th round where he landed that questionable body shot that that was rolled a low blow, and then he Usyk was allowed to find his feet and come back in the fight. Personally, I think it was close enough to call either way, but if it would have been rolled a body shot, a score and a knockdown, I think he would have won the fight and pulled off the major upset. He returned from that in December with a lot of people questioning him, and he returned to take on then undefeated Jarrell Big Baby Miller, who weighed 90 pounds more than he did, and he proceeded to outbox and outclass Miller. He took some shots in the fight, but he showed he had a lot of heart, and even though he was ahead on the scorecards, he put his foot on the gas pedal and stopped Miller in the final round to retain, or to, really put himself back in the serious mix. And then in June, on the 5 versus 5 card, he would challenge Filip Hrgović for the vacant IBF title. Hrgović was the long-standing IBF mandatory challenger and was waiting for the winner of, Usyk Fury, for them to announce him as the next guy to fight the winner, or at least still wait in line or become the new IBF champion. And Dubois spoiled all that. After the two went at it for a couple rounds, a cut opened up over the eye of Hrgović, and Dubois took full advantage of it, outworked, outclassed Hrgović, and eventually stopped him in the 8th round to become the IBF mandatory, or become the interim champion of the IBF, and scored a big upset in the heavyweight division. And all things come full circle in a matter of from August to June. That was all within 10 months of each other, of the loss to Usyk, the win over Hrgović, and Dubois now gets upgraded in late June, early July to full champion, and will defend against Joshua. Big time matchup right here. So Dubois hungry, he's confident, he's given up an inch in height, 4 inches in reach, but he's 7 years younger. He's 27 years old. He wants to win this fight. He believes in himself, and a win here gets him, the big time, and legitimizes him across the board. So this is a big one for Dubois coming in. Now, can Daniel Dubois, let's start. What does he need to do to win this fight? What does he need to do to win this fight against Anthony Joshua? And I think he needs to box, but try to set the tone with a big shot early. Dubois has proven that he can take punches. So if he tries to set the tone, maybe attack a little more, and just figure out a way to counter Joshua, put the pressure on him, try to hurt him early to make a big statement, I think that'll go a long way. If he can box, work himself in, and not get into an all-out slugfest, but if Joshua is dumb enough to get into a slugfest, expose Joshua with a big shot. But I think working the body, working the head, and just trying to jab for jab, not let Joshua dictate the fight with his jab and his longer reach and his experience. I think that will go a long way for Dubois, and could lead to a victory. Now, can Daniel Dubois win this fight by knockout? I think he can. I really do think he can win the fight by knockout. He's got a lot of power. He's 21-2 with 20 knockouts. So obviously he's a power puncher. I think he can win this fight by knockout. Can he win this fight by a decision? I think he can. I think that's a little harder, but he's a solid boxer, and I definitely think a decision is possible for Dubois. What is more likely? For a Dubois victory, a knockout or a decision? And I gotta go with I think a knockout's more likely, but I can see him winning a decision as well. But I do think a knockout for a victory is more likely for Daniel Dubois over Anthony Joshua. Now, what does a win mean for Daniel Dubois? And it means everything. It would be by far the biggest win of his career. It would completely legitimize him across the board, and he would be right back into that serious mix. The top tier mix, not just a serious mix. He's already in a serious mix. He'd be in that top tier mix. He will have earned a shot at the winner of Usyk and Fury, and only big fights would lay ahead, and he'd prove like, hey, I'm the future now. I'm 27, I'm young. These next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I'm gonna be a serious player. And that is what a victory could mean. It would be huge for Dubois' career because Joshua is a superstar. Now, what does a loss mean for Dubois? It depends on how he loses. If obviously a loss hurts, but I don't think a lot of people will be surprised because he's technically the underdog. He also has has 2 losses on his resume, to Joe Joyce and then to Usyk. So I don't think a loss overall hurts him because he's lost to good fighters. Joyce, he was winning that fight prior to Joyce stopping him in the 10th round. And then he was in the fight, competitive against Usyk, but was getting beat soundly. And Usyk is going to be a future Hall of Famer. He's an all-time great. He's the first undisputed heavyweight champion in almost 25 years. So this dude is a once-in-a-lifetime special fighter. So a loss to Joshua, who's considered to be very good, wouldn't hurt him as bad, and it would be considered as a learning experience, and he's got more time. But how he loses matter. If he goes out there and gets the shit kicked out of him, he might not be taken as serious, but he'll still get opportunities, but he just might not be taken as a serious player. If he goes out there and proves himself, but still comes up short, he'll still be considered a serious player in the heavyweight division. So now we switch over to the challenger, the former 2-time unified heavyweight champion, Anthony Joshua, and take a look at him and break him down. Coming into the fight, he also dates back to last August, so he's been very active. This is his 4th fight in 13 months as well. Last August, he took on Robert Helenius, a replacement opponent, on short notice. He was supposed to fight Dillian White in a rematch. He took on Robert Helenius. Took a couple shots in the fight, but ended up laying out Helenius brutally in the 7th round. That was his 2nd fight removed from the back-to-back losses to Usyk. Then he returned in December on the Day of Reckoning card, the first Saudi Arabia card, the big one, and he competed in the main event ahead of what was proposed to be a showdown with Deontay Wilder. He took on Otto Wallin, and a lot of people thought he was going to lose, and he absolutely dominated Otto Wallin, impressively broke him down and beat him up to where Wallin, the fight was stopped in the 5th round, and Anthony Joshua was considered back at that point, really back. Then in March, instead of Wilder, because he lost to Joseph Parker, he would take on Francis Ngannou, the former UFC heavyweight champion, following Ngannou's performance last October against Tyson Fury, where he almost beat him. And Joshua let everybody know that this is boxing and not UFC, as he absolutely destroyed Ngannou in 2 rounds, knocked him down 3 times, and completely knocked him out cold in the 2nd round to really set the tone and prove that he's a serious player. I have never seen Joshua this determined. He's very hungry, and he wants to become a 3-time heavyweight champion, something that only a handful of guys have ever done. And he wants the winner of Usyk Fury. He wants his revenge on Usyk. He wants the big super showdown with Fury. I think he knows what's at stake here, and I think Joshua is very hungry. Now, what does Anthony Joshua need to do to win this fight? Well, he has the 1-inch height, the 4-inch reach advantage. I think he needs to use his boxing and experience and set Dubois up. I think he needs to wear Dubois down and set him up. Anthony Joshua comes in great shape, and I think he's built for 12 rounds. So I think he needs to come in prepared like that. He's had the longer layoff in the less threatening fight, so he's been able to really be in good conditioning, get more rest for his body, and I think he needs to bust up and break down Daniel Dubois with the jab, with the long reach, with the superior boxing ability, but he needs to avoid getting hit with a big shot and hurt early. But he needs to set the tone, and if he can set the tone by the 4th or 5th round with the jab, he can open up more and really bust up Dubois, and I think that's the key to success. Now, can Anthony Joshua win this fight by knockout? I absolutely think he can. He's a powerful fighter. He's I think he's 28-2 with 25 knockouts. This guy is very serious, and he's very strong, and I think he can absolutely win by knockout. Can he win a decision? Yeah, I think he can win a decision too. I think he's the better boxer. He's got more experience. He's been in 12-round fights more, so I think he can win this fight by decision as well. Now, what's more likely for Joshua, a knockout or a decision if he's victorious? I think a knockout's more likely. I have trouble seeing this fight going 12, but it's not to say that it can't or it won't. I just think it's more likely it ends by knockout, and I think Joshua would be more likely to knock Dubois out. So what does a win here mean for Anthony Joshua? It would be big. It would lead to maybe the biggest fight of his career, to be honest. Joshua has had bigger victories than this, but this victory leads to an even bigger opportunity against the winner of Usyk Fury. A redemption at Usyk would be huge after 2 losses, and for Undisputed as well. Or a showdown with Fury, whether Fury beats Usyk or not, is a superstar showdown fight right there, especially if Fury wins. For Undisputed, and a fight, an all-UK battle here between these 2 superstars would be monumental. So a win means everything for Anthony Joshua. What does a loss mean for Joshua? A loss would be fucking devastating for Anthony Joshua. I'm just going to lay it out there. If he loses this fight, especially if it's by a knockout, it's going to kill the confidence, and we're really, I don't know what happens after that for Anthony Joshua. Depending on how he loses, of course. But if he goes out there and he gets broken down or stopped early and caught, that might, that might be all she wrote in terms of taking Anthony Joshua super serious. So we're going to see what happens. But a loss really would hurt Anthony Joshua at this point, because he's right there again. Now, final 2 things. First, is it better for boxing if Daniel Dubois retains the title, or if Anthony Joshua becomes a 3-time heavyweight champ? And right now, it's better for boxing if Joshua wins this fight. It sets up a superstar 3rd fight or a showdown with Fury, a 3rd fight with Usyk. It would be huge. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's one of the it's a huge fight, and I think it would be better for boxing if Joshua won. It wouldn't be bad for boxing if Dubois won, because it would really make him more of a superstar and make him more of a serious player. But considering he's lost already to Usyk, I'm not sure how serious people would take Dubois right now going against the winner of Usyk and Fury. For Joshua, people would take it seriously, because Usyk didn't dominate and knock him out. He beat him by a close decision in the 2nd fight. He beat him by a convincing decision in the 1st fight. Joshua, that is. So I think it's better for boxing if Joshua wins. Now, finally, what's my prediction on the fight? I have Anthony Joshua winning this fight, but it's very close to 50-50. I think he's going to break down Dubois and stop him in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th round area. I think he's poised, he's ready, he's confident, and I think his eye is on the prize. But Daniel Dubois is seriously in this fight and has a serious fucking shot to pull this one off and retain the IBF title and punch his ticket to superstardom. Seriously, he does. I think it's very close to 50-50. I do believe it could go either way, but I'm giving the pick to Anthony Joshua by a knockout in the later rounds, and he will become a 3-time heavyweight champion of the world, making some history, and really punch the ticket and get the boxing world excited for a super showdown with the likely winner of Usyk and Fury next year. So that's what I believe is going to happen. Again, I think it's a fucking fantastic fight. You can see it on DAZN pay-per-view next weekend, next Saturday, September 21st, from the United Kingdom, Riyadh season. I hope you enjoyed the video. This has been the Dubois versus Joshua breakdown and prediction video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing, and you've been hit with the truth.